In today's divisive and toxic culture, not even a simple prayer is immune to criticism, especially when it comes from the Vice President, Mike Pence, who of course takes his faith very seriously. So there he was, praying this week for God's guidance regarding combating the coronavirus. But apparently that's controversial to some. That's right. Thomas Chatteron Williams, he's a writer for New York Magazine and Harper's Magazine. He tweeted about that photo and it took off like wildfire. Here's the provocative tweet. Quote, Mike Pence and his coronavirus emergency team praying for a solution. We are so screwed. And then there's a tweet by Brian Karem. He's a White House correspondent, but he chimed in with this commentary. Quote, clear that the VP and real Donald Trump are in over their heads. POTUS is literally praying for a miracle to make coronavirus go away. And the snark on Twitter goes on and on and on, as you might imagine. Look, we as Christians know that prayer is an act of surrender. And when you saw Mike Pence praying in that photo, he's praying for guidance, and that's it. He's not praying for the coronavirus to, magically go away. And so, this idea that it's actually being criticized is relatively ridiculous. Now, I did talk to Mike Pence about praying specifically in the White House. He says prayer goes on all the time in the White House. We talked about that 2 years ago in May of 2018. Have a look.
There's prayer going on a regular basis in this White House. And it's one of the most meaningful things to me is whether it's public meetings or not. I've lost count of the number of times that the president's nudged me or nudged another member of the cabinet and said, let's start this meeting with prayer. He's someone who really believes in the power of prayer and in the importance of faith in American life. You saw that in high relief at the White House today, but it's not just on the National Day of Prayer.
It really should come as no surprise that past administrations, really from the founding of our country, have relied on prayer during times of national crisis. Take President Clinton, for example. In the mid-1990s, as America was preparing to invade Haiti, Clinton's speechwriter wrote a line, and it said this: no president makes decisions like this one without deep thought. But Clinton said something was missing, and he told the speechwriter to add the word prayer, so it read thoughts and prayers at the end, not just thoughts. And then, of course, the Civil War. During the brutal and bloody Civil War, Abraham Lincoln could only look to God. This is what he said, quote, I have been driven many times upon my knees by the overwhelming conviction that I had nowhere else to go. My own wisdom and that of all about me seemed insufficient for that day. And then, of course, JFK, Roman Catholic, known to head straight to St. Matthew's Cathedral across the street from the White House for prayer constantly during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And then, of course, how can we not leave out Jimmy Carter, President Jimmy Carter, the Southern Baptist Sunday school teacher. He's been teaching Sunday schools ever since he got out of the womb. He talked extensively about praying for wisdom when trying to break an impasse between Anwar Sadat, a Muslim, and Menachem Begin, a Jew, at the famous Camp David peace accords. And then finally, Gerald Ford, he turned to the Bible. As Richard Nixon's resignation was nearing, he was about to become president, Ford and his son actually began reading from Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, where it talks about trusting in the Lord with all your heart and leaning not on your own understanding. So the bottom line here, Mike Pence's prayer, not unusual in any way. As a matter of fact, it's as American as it gets. David Brody, CBN News, Washington.